We're in the first 7 chapters of the book of Acts, the first of 6 subsections within the book of Acts as a whole. And within that first 7 chapters, we see the birth of the church in Jerusalem. And thus far, we've looked at chapter 1, which deals with the events of resurrection to Pentecost, and chapter 2, which deals with Pentecost, and the immediate consequence thereafter, the necessity of the incorporation of the new believers, the 3,000, into the life of the church. There will not be a solid revival unless there is an incorporation of the people coming in. And then chapter 3 and chapter 4 focuses upon the third major emphasis within the early part of Acts, and that is a healing and its results. We know from reading the description at the end of Acts chapter 2 that already there have been many healings that have been performed, and yet we have not a single one of them described for us. In fact, in the first 7 chapters of the book of Acts, there is only one healing that is given, only one specific miracle. And that's so characteristic of both Acts and the Gospels, to not tell us everything that is happening, but to give us the one event through which we best have a window to see into the heart of God and into God's purposes in His dealings with other people. Actually, the event of Acts chapter 3, a healing and its results, is given specifically because it is what we might call a hinge event. It leads somewhere. There was a connection made that took a trail within human experience. And where it is a hinge is that because of the healing of the lame man, the gospel was publicly proclaimed again in the temple courts, resulting in a massive new infusion of converts. That healing and massive infusion of converts brought the gospel for the first time after the resurrection of Jesus Christ to a hearing by the Sanhedrin. And as a result of that hearing, we find the imprisonment temporarily, or in preparation for that hearing, we find the imprisonment temporarily for the first time of someone in the Christian company. It's the first time within the New Testament era that people suffer, and unlike the Old Testament, the suffering here will not be for something that was done that was wrong, but the suffering will be for that which is right. It is out of that context of suffering and concourse with the Sanhedrin that some events are released which ultimately bring about the terrible tragedy that happens in the New Testament later in Acts regarding the death of Stephen. We're going to need maybe another adult or two to sit with the children here so I can have some time for concentration. Thank you. Maybe some gal or two just help out with these kids. We want them here. I talked last Sunday evening about the beggars in our midst that we don't see. And I want to just sit on the floor for a little bit and be a beggar. I don't know if you can see me. Can you see me? I was going to have Wayne Tesh and Jason Garcia carry me in and dump me here. But we don't look at this text too much from the vantage point of a beggar, do we? We kind of talk about him, but we don't realize what it's like to lay there all day. Do you realize it's 3 o'clock now in the afternoon, and I've been down here all day, and nobody's taken me to the bathroom? I haven't come in a wheelchair because they haven't been invented yet. And there weren't any ramps if they had been invented. I'm just laying here. I've been down here crippled. Look at my feet. I have to show these off because the more I show off my feet, the more sympathetic people will get, and they might give me something as they pass by. Big deal. I have to let my handicap out for everybody to see it. And it's hard being down here. Do you know there are animals coming by? I mean, this is a big area. There are people bringing sheep and goats past me all day long. You know what the smells are like down here? They are bad, folks. There's some even... Well, I just can't go into all of that. But it's dirty down here, too. There's just a lot of dust in the air. They don't keep this place watered with a hose because hoses haven't been invented yet. And it's just dirty all day long. And people come by, you know, and they look at me, and I have my hand out, and I'm asking for something, and they're looking at me. And half the time, they don't even see me. You wouldn't believe how many people come by here every day because I'm right at the beautiful gate. And it is interesting. People never think that I'm down here at a beautiful gate, and I'm such a contrast to the scenery of this place. I mean, they've come with their minds on God and their hearts all filled with joy. Some of them are from far places. It's the first time they've ever been